Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing fine. Coming to the topic of today's presentation, it is nothing but introduction to dental materials. I know this will be revision for some students and it will be new to some students. For those students which is new, the terms which are gonna use in this topic may not people may not understand. So don't worry, as we go deep into the subjects, later you will understand. So coming to the contents, we are going to see the topic under the following headings, which is science of dental materials. What are the materials used in the history? What are the ideal requirements expected, and how will we classify the materials? And this among the materials, how will we select the materials based on the cases and the standards for dental materials? What will be the future development and conclusion? To the definition of science of dental materials, the science of dental materials involves a study of the composition and properties of materials and the way in which they interact with the environment in which they are placed. The environment is nothing but oral cavity. We all know that developments in material science, robotics, and biomechanics have dramatically changed the way we look at the replacement of components of human anatomy. So, similarly, in dentistry, restorative dental materials are the foundation for the replacement of tooth structure. So why should we know about the dental materials? Why you will want to study about dental materials? This is because the oral cavity is considered to be the harshest environment for a material in the body because it includes bacteria, high forces, ever-changing pH and a warm fluid environment. To practice clinical dentistry, only clinical technique is not alone enough, and we also need to understand the knowledge of fundamental biological, chemical and physical properties of materials we use. So it is necessary to understand the dental materials. Coming to the history of dental materials, dentistry as a specialty is believed to be begun about 3000 BC itself. There are various histories of materials, but now I am just going to tell only about the filling materials only. So till 18th century, stone chips, ivory, human teeth, turpentine resin, cork, gums and metal foils are used as restorative material. In the 15th century, if we see, there are doctors which they used lead or cork for tooth fillings, and Queen Elizabeth I used cloth fragments to fill the cavities in her teeth. Pierre Fauchard, who is considered as the father of modern dentistry, used tin foils and lead. In 17th century, gold foil is used, and in 18th century, Tavau used silver coins mixed with mercury, which is considered to be the first dental amalgam. Later in 1895, G.V. Black proposed standardized cavity preparation and manufacturing process of dental amalgam. Till the 19th century, every material is focused only on direct restoration. That means directly we fill the teeth in the patient's mouth. In the 19th century, Taggart gave the casting technique. He gave the cast inlays, which is nothing but indirect technique, which we see later. So coming to the ideal requirements of dental materials, first thing is it should be biocompatible, it should not cause any allergic reaction or it should not irritate the tissues. The second one is it should bond permanently to tooth structure or bone. It should match the natural appearance of tooth structure and other visible tissues. It should exhibit properties similar to those of tooth enamel, dentin or other tissues, and it should be capable of initiating tissue repair or the regeneration of missing or damaged. So how will we classify these dental materials? So we broadly classify these dental materials into preventive materials, restorative materials and auxiliary materials. We will discuss everything in detail. Coming to preventive dental materials, preventive dental materials are the agents that prevent or inhibit the decay, that is dental caries. inhibit the decay or progression of tooth decay. So it includes the agents which are used to which has antibacterial effects or fluoride releasing effect. So the material which comes under preventive dental materials are Pitt and Fisher sealants, sealing agents that prevent leakage, and materials used primarily for their antibacterial effects, and liners, bases, cements, and restorative materials such as compomer, hybrid ionomer, and glass ionomer cements that are used primarily because they release fluoride. There are some cases in which a preventive material may also serve as a restorative material that may be used for either short-term, moderately long periods, or long periods. In this, short-term materials are broadly categorized into used within several months, where moderately long periods are 1 to 4 years and long periods is greater than 5 years. Coming to restorative dental materials, these are the materials which consist of synthetic components that can be used to repair or replace tooth structure. This includes primers, bonding agents, liners, cement bases, all the cements and cast metals, metal ceramics to replace the tooth structure. Restorative dental materials are classified into broadly two categories. First one is based on duration, which is short term and long term. And the next classification is based on processing technique, which is either direct or indirect technique. Direct technique, which we can see composite is restored within the patient's cavity, and indirect we can see inlay onlay, which is processed in the lab. Next is the temporary restorative dental materials, which are the subcategory of restorative dental materials intended to be used only for a short period or the temporarily. So these include orthodontic wires, cements used as a temporary liner or filling materials, acrylic resins mainly used for inlays, crowns, and fixed partial dentures. Till now, we have seen the preventive as well as restorative dental materials. This is the table which compared the application and durability of preventive and restorative dental materials. In the first column, you can see the various materials, and in second column, we can see the application of those products and the benefits of the materials and durability in the next coming columns. So I will explain only the glass ionomer. Glass ionomer can be used as an adhesive, base, luting agent, as a restorative, as well as Pitt and Fisher sealant. Its benefits are that it is a fluoride releasing as well as a sealing agent. Its durability is either low or moderate. Similarly, you can go through all the materials which is having high durability or which is having low durability, which is having a fluoride releasing, and where it can be used, everything you can see in this table. So the third one of dental material classification is the auxiliary dental materials. These are the substances which are used for fabricating the dental processes or appliances, but they do not come in the part of those devices. These include acid etching solutions, impression material, casting investment, gypsum cast and model materials, dental waxes, acrylic resins for impression, bleaching tray manufacturing, or mouthguard fabrication. So we have seen the classification of dental materials. Now the available dental materials are broadly classified under these six categories, which are mainly either inorganic salts, ceramics, or metals and alloys, or polymers, or polymer composites, or elastomers. The intended applications are given in the subsequent circles. We can see inorganic salts can be used as a dental cement or gypsum products, whereas ceramics are used for crowns, and metals and alloys were used for orthodontic wires or in the components of dentures or in cast restorations, whereas polymers are used for polymer composites are used for direct filling materials, and polymers are used for denture bases and direct filling materials, whereas elastomers are impression materials. Now we know the what are the dental materials available. So how will you select the dental materials based on the case? There are some points which need to be considered. First one is the analysis of the problem, consideration of the requirements, and consideration of the available materials and their properties, and choice of suitable materials. This is the flow chart which represents these points need to be considered for while selecting the material, which will be discussed detail in the subsequent slides. First, analysis of the problem. Analysis is of paramount importance because incorrect decision that may cause failure of the restoration or appliance. For example, when considering the selection of a filling material, it is important for the dentist to decide whether the restoration is to be placed in an area of high stress bearing area or low stress bearing area, or it will be visible when the patient smiles, especially in the anteriors, or is the cavity deep or shallow. These factors and many more must be evaluated before attempting the selection of restorative material. Second one is the consideration of the requirement. After completed the analysis of the situation, we need to list the requirements of a material that demands the situation. Some tooth cavities are caused by toothbrush or toothpaste abrasion. We can see this picture where class 5 abrasion is seen. In this special case, restorative material used naturally possess adequate resistance to dentifrice abrasion. Hence, it is possible to build a profile of the ideal properties required for the application. It should be being considered. After consideration of the requirements, the available materials are selected are carried out at two levels. First one is the dentist who are faces an immediate problem while restoring the tooth of a patient during the procedure must choose from those materials are available on hand at that time. Other one is that previous experience of the dentist with materials in similar circumstances will be a major factor which influences selection. So it is of paramount importance that the practitioner keeps up to date with the development of materials. So last is the choice of material. Having compared the properties of the available materials with the requirement, it is possible to narrow the choice to a given generic group of products. The final choice of material brand is often a matter of personal preference on the part of the dentist. Factors such as ease of handling, availability, and cost may play a part at this stage of selection process. Now, the question arises is all these materials are manufactured under any protocols, or is there any standardization for these dental materials manufacturing? So yes, there are certain standards. Like for example, after the amalgam war, as mercury is considered a toxicity, U.S. Army in 1919 requested National Bureau of Standards to establish specification for evaluation and selection of dental amalgams for use in federal service. In 1928, dental research at NIST was taken over by American Dental Association, which you people can see for every materials there will be an ADA specification number, and it is divided into number of categories. This ADA is divided into number of categories which they see upon how they measure the properties, physical and chemical properties of dental materials, and the development of new materials, instruments, and the testing methods of these dental materials. Apart from the ADA, there are also international standards which includes FDA and ISO. As per the FDA recommendation, ISO formed a committee which is TC 106 which follows the FDA protocol. Under TC 106, there are 7 subcommittee and 58 working groups. So these are the 3 subcommittees which covers almost all the dental materials. Subcommittee 1 is for filling and restorative materials, Subcommittee 2 is for prosthodontic, and Subcommittee 8 is for dental implants. Coming to the future developments, the interaction between the fields of biomaterials and molecular biology is growing rapidly. Advances in tissue regeneration will accelerate. So developments in nanotechnology are having a major impact on material science because Currently, we understand at macro and micro levels will be very different from the nano level. Coming to the conclusion, there is a famous saying from a toxicologist who said that all substances are poisons. There is none which is not poison. The right dose differentiates a poison from a remedy. So, no dental material or device is absolutely safe. Safety is relative, and the selection and use of dental materials are based on the assumption that benefits of such use far outweigh the known biological risks. So, decisions on which biomaterials to use for a given clinical condition or situation will be controlled by the known benefits of each treatment choice compared with the known risks. So the books to be followed for the dental materials, these are the guidelines given by the university. So these are the four books which they have recommended. Out of this, Phillips is the most recommended book. So I want everyone to follow this. Regarding any queries or doubts, you can contact me on this mobile number or through this email ID. And the assignments, there is one essay on shoot, two short notes, and 10 MCQs. There is a link here, and I will upload this along with this PPT. Thank you.